I'll try it again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. I think this is the last presentation before the break. So I'm going to make sure that I don't stand between you and your bathroom break. But as I sat down there and listened to all those incredible speakers throughout both internet and physically, I was wondering, what else can I add? I mean, there's so many lessons and so many speeches. Great. But I said to myself, they asked me to speak about creativity, and the truth is, it is not complete until you have heard me. And that is the essence of life, that this world is not complete without you. All right? So I want to thank all the people that put this together, the organizers. Thank you to honor students. I'm very, very proud of this program. This is great. I call them the smart kids every time I interact with them. So thank you very much, Celeste. So I was asked to speak about leadership, passion, and creativity. And of course, trying to do that, I kept thinking about my background. You've heard stories of a young man that came to the States from Malawi. And as I was listening to his story, I was so fascinated by it. Because I had a great opportunity to be born in one of the most difficult areas of life. You probably can never imagine that at the age of 5, 6, 7 years old, I knew what it was to smell human beings burning. That leaves impression on your life for the rest of your life. I've seen death around me, left and right, and had to maneuver myself through them. That changes your life for the rest of your life. So the opportunity, the privilege that you have to be born where you are born. By the way, one thing that I discovered is that I didn't pick my parents. I didn't go to Walmart to pick the place where I was born, the color of my skin, and all the things that we use in America to discriminate against each other. We did not pick them. Isn't that dumb? I mean, things that were given to you freely, and then we turn it around and use it to oppress each other. So, I had the fortune of being born in a family of a father that was a builder, a minister. You can tell I dressed like him, but we do very different jobs. And when I was young, my dad taught me very important lessons in life that laid the foundation for me. I'm going to share with you a few stories. I remember when I was young, my father was trying to teach me what service means, what leadership means. For my dad, as he taught me, leadership means making a difference. It doesn't matter what that difference is, it's just making a difference. And then he told me, he said, you see, leaders can be found in the front, charting the path for people to follow. Or they can be found at the rear end, shouldering the weights and the burden of people. Or they can be found in the middle, holding the pieces together. Okay, 7 years old. So fast forward, I discovered that what he meant by charting the path is a visionary leadership, and holding the pieces together is reconciliatory leadership. And then at the rear end is what? Service. Wow. Some people actually write books about this and make money out of it. All right? So he taught me the lesson about service. I used to have one uncle called Uncle Bobo, and this uncle would call me down to his house and said, and just use me to run errands. And one day I told my dad that I was not going to go to Uncle Bobo's house. And he said, why? I said, he's just using me. And then he turned around and said, my son, have you not been told it is only what is useful that can be used? It is only what is useful that can be used. So that stayed with me. You know, I'm talking about the curriculum of my life. So one day we were traveling with my dad. The most two important things I used to have in those days was a camera built during the Second World War by the Germans. One of the missionaries came and gave it to me. And then the second one was a British map. Okay? You know, the British husbands, the colonial officers, they had their own maps. So they gave me that map, and I used to love the map because I saw the whole world in front of me looking at the map. But one day, we were traveling. Usually we would travel Friday, Saturday, distributing scriptures, Bibles, and all, building houses, orphanages, and doing all sorts of things. And on one of those streets, as we were going, he stopped, and at the border, we saw some people roasting corns, and I remember it very clearly, very cold, and those military officers were roasting corns and having fun, and he spoke French to them, and then he went off. But as we were coming back, there was what they call sandstorm. You don't know what a sandstorm means, you know? It's like snowstorm. It's just that it's sun, and it's heavy, and it obliterates the roads, all right? So we were coming back, and as we were coming back, and I remember it vividly, because at the border where there was that tree, the military officers, because of sandstorm, had moved. They shifted the post, I don't know how many miles away. But immediately I got there with my map, I said to my dad, Dad, and he looked around at me. I said, the border has moved. I mean, you didn't understand. That means actually one country shrunk and the other one got bigger. That the border has shrunk. That changed my conception about this world at the age 8, 9. He turned around like a good father who is always looking for a teachable moment and said to me, my son, whatever a human being makes is imperfect. Only what God makes that is perfect. But that lesson changed everything about me, because I discovered that borders are artificially put together and put there by human beings. Since that day, I've become a border crosser. Physically, conceptually, there is nothing that holds us away from Canada other than what human beings put there as the border. Since that day, I have refused to respect borders only as if it is important for the safety of humanity. All right? So I've become a border crosser conceptually and physically. That is my inroad to creativity. Because what confines you to wherever you are is actually that border that is being set by so many forces around you. The same father who were traveling in this old British jeep, and as we were going, and I was sleeping, it was about 4 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden I heard noise, woke up, startled, and saw light, fire, burning all over. And he put his hand on my head and pressed it down. And he said, don't look. Well, 7, 8 years old, pastor's kid. When your father tells you don't look, at that age, what happens? Now, you close one eye and open the other one. I closed one eye to obey my father. He's a minister, after all. I opened the other one because of that creativity. So I opened the other eye, and what I saw terrified me. So as I look at that, and then he spoke again several languages, maneuvering himself, dead body here, this one, bleeding and all these things, and he moved away from there quickly. Then he asked me, he said, you can sit up now. So I sat up. And he saw that I was shaking. And all of a sudden I found my voice and I asked, Dad, why are they killing each other when they look so much alike? Now, these are not questions for 8-9-year-old kids to be asking. Why are they killing each other when they look so much alike? And my father turned around and looked at me again, looking for that teachable moment. And he said, what separates them is in their hearts. That's why we are called to walk on their minds. What separates them is in their minds. That is why we are called to walk on their minds. I submit to you that what separates the people in Syria today, what separates the people in Iraq, what separates us, Cleveland, East Cleveland, West Cleveland, what separates you from your neighbors, is all in our minds. And this is my call to be an educator. This is why I teach. This is why I stand in front of students every day. Because I know that their minds are so powerful that it can bring them together, but so powerful it can separate them. The physical distance doesn't mean anything. All right? What separates us is powerful enough to destroy all of us. So one of the reasons why I brought this chair out is that I want you to do me a favor. Look at all the chairs that are vacant. If there is none beside you, imagine a chair in front of you that is vacant. And the question I want you to ask is, who is missing in the room? Whose chair is this that is missing before you? Could it be someone whose race banished that person to the back of the bus of life? Could it be somebody whose physical ability prevents that person from being wherever you find yourself? Could it be that person whose gender prevents that person from moving up vertically because of the glass ceiling? Could it be that woman hanging on to her last breath in Syria in the hands of a tyrannical dictator that's got the free reign to just wipe them off because the world is not looking? Could it be that girl in Sudan whose life can be sustained by the budget of the movies that we go per year? Whose voice is crying out that we have not paid attention to on the chair? I submit to you that if you look carefully around this place, and you look again carefully, you will discover that there are people who are missing, who could be here. But the reason why you are sitting where you are sitting is because you have been given that privilege to hear the audible voice of that silence. Life brought you to where you are, giving you sound mind and good health, giving you everything to hear that voice, the audible voice of that silence. So my father, again, will teach me how to listen to the audible voice of silence. I remember one day we were walking and all of a sudden he said, stop, and I stopped. He said, did you hear that? He said, there are thousands of sounds. He said, listen again. And I listened. And then he said, did you hear it? And to be very candid, I didn't know which of the sounds there. But all of a sudden, I heard a baby cry. I said, is it the baby that is crying? And he said, yes. But to tell you the truth, to look back right now, whatever sound I picked, he would have said yes. Because he was looking for ways to connect me to something. To the sound that my spirit is going to connect with, and he will make use of that. So, one day again we were walking, and he said, look at the sky. And he said, look at that. He said, Dad, there are 1,000 stars in the sky. He said, yes, but did you see that one? And I said, which one? Is that one that is so bright? And he said, yes. And he said, polish yourself, because when you polish yourself, you will draw eyes onto you. Now, so he looked for all those opportunities to teach me, to direct me. But the most important lesson of life that he's taught me is everywhere I go to, understand that it's a privilege to be wherever I am. But that privilege does not stop with me. That privilege is a call to service. And that service will not be completed until I have found the vacant chair and ask myself the question, what is the audible voice of that silence that I'm supposed to pay attention to? What is my responsibility to that vacant chair? So what I'm going to leave with you as from now on, wherever you go, whatever boardroom that you may find yourself in future, wherever life takes you to, oh, I pray, just like my father said to me one day, he said, may your education take you to the end of the world, end of the earth. And when you get there, may you discover your long-lost cousins. Though in different language or different colors of skin, may you discover your long-lost cousins. And since that day I've been discovering them, I found some of them are Chinese. Actually, some of them are Russians. Or they may have different colors, but I always discover that. So what I'm going to leave with you is that everywhere you see a vacant chair, please ask the question, who is missing at the table? Who is missing at the table? If you do that, and you rise to that voice, you have found the purpose of your calling. Thank you. God bless.